I like to do that about every 5 years, just set my life on fire, watch it burn, and start over from the ashes.
I turned 50, y'all, and I started a podcast.
Really, age is just a number. It comes down to how we choose to live and the choices we make in our life, and those things accumulate.
Don't let the programming of life keep you from doing things every single day that make you happy.
When we feel good, it's easy to think good.
Life is not happening to you. You are your life. You are happening to your life. Hi, welcome to the podcast. In this episode, I speak with Gia Heller. A year ago, Gia moved to Florida, and she found her dream home, and she found her much younger dream man. And she's making every single day a good day to die. She's living the way she wants to live, and she's taking no prisoners. In this conversation, we talk about menopause. We talk about plastic surgery. We talk about MILF porn. We talk about numerology. I really think you're going to enjoy this conversation. And if you don't, well, that's on you. Without further ado, here's our conversation with Gia Heller. And remember, make today a good day to die.
So, I was living in Phoenix, and I had been there almost consecutively for about 35 years, other than a few years in San Diego and a few years in Mexico, the country. And I had quite a network in Phoenix. I had several networking companies open and had retired from that and moved into doing full-time social media, where I represented a plastic surgeon and a dentist and thousands of other customers. So between friends and family, everything, my whole nucleus was in Phoenix. And I decided in May of last year to just blow that up. And I like to do that about every 5 years, just set my life on fire, watch it burn, and start over from the ashes. But this time I had made some really smart moves with my Airbnb property. So I left with the ashes and a little bit of cash. And I was able to buy my dream home in Florida. I moved in on August 3rd.
Now, why did you choose Florida?
I chose Florida for several reasons. Number one, my extended family, my aunts that raised me, live in Florida. And I had never had adult time with them where I lived in the place where they lived. So with my mom living in Payson and kind of hermiting up in the mountains and my daughters having their own full lives, I just felt like I didn't have a place anymore. I wasn't mom anymore. I didn't want to represent everybody else's business anymore. I just wanted time for me. I'm 50, October 1st. And that made me
Woo!
I said to myself, what does your next chapter look like? And I had my numerology done, and I had found out certain things about me that have allowed me to achieve the success that I've achieved. But what I'm trying to do now is build on that, but build brand new and creative and really focus on the things that really, really turn me on and things that I could talk about ad nauseum for weeks on end. And those topics are Airbnb, rental investment properties, plastic surgery, probably my favorite topic because it's so controversial. And of course, my next controversial subject, why I date and marry only younger men, at least 15 years my junior.
So I'm so excited to talk to you about all of these things. We have most of those things in common. And, but I want to get back. I want to stop you when you're mentioning numerology. Tell me, I have never done numerology. I don't know what that means. Tell me what that is and what that specifically told you.
One of my friends that had transitioned careers started doing soul readings and soul contract readings in specifics. So I hired her to do my natal chart with my numerology, with the name that I was born with, and the name that I was since I'm 7 years old, Gia Heller. And one of the things she said to me, which really struck home for me, was she said, oh my God, she said, people would kill to have a dragon in their chart because it makes you so fierce and so powerful. She said, Gia, you have 2 dragons in your chart, one on each shoulder. When you enter a room, you're entering your person with 2 dragons, one on each shoulder, and people react accordingly. And you may have always wondered why you feel so different, why you don't relate, why you don't fit in, but that is why. You were born to come in and take over. And that has really served me in business. Absolutely. I have 2 dragons. I felt that when she said that, Having said that, moving
Mm-hmm.
forward, I'm in perimenopause. Still getting that period every 28 days, but the hormones are starting to do this. So it's, I don't even know why I said that now.
Oh, it's another thing we have in common.
So I didn't want to come into every room with two dragons anymore. So I'm contemplating a name change currently, either to some fictitious name that I
Really?
make up, like an Italian name like Gia Coconini or something fun, Gia Ferrari.
I love
Um,
it.
or if I do continue in this relationship, which I believe that I will become Gia Hartman. And I told her back in the day before I even met him, I wanted to add love to my name. I want to come across the room with love instead of two dragons moving forward. So I'm actually
Interesting.
really trying to figure that out by the end of the year.
So, was there anything in the numerology reading? So you did that in
I did it
Phoenix?
here. I had just moved in. The house was being
Okay.
demolished, and I just knew that I needed to know where I was and where I was going, and what, if anything,
Okay.
I could do to alter the way my vibration is showing up in the universe. And one of the ways you can change that vibration literally through the vocal cords is by changing the name and the sounds. Like Gia, that's perfect already because it's got all of those vowels that you want. When you have the vowels in your name, it really lends to a softness and coming across through love. So that's why some people just completely make up a name. Like she went from Gelly Akin to Gelliana Akinena. I don't even know how to say her last name now. But it's the vibration and the frequency that she wants to be to others. So we can
I love it.
choose what vibration we're putting out to others and to the universe. And
100%.
I'm okay with the fact that I put
100%.
out X, Y, and Z for now because it got me exactly where I am, which is exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Right. So you blew up what was your life in Phoenix, and from the ashes, you have this blank empty space that you're able to create, a whole new life that is designed by you, which is exactly what you're
Mhm.
doing. And so when you had that blank empty, canvas upon which to paint the new life in Florida, what were the elements that you were putting together?
Well, the things that were important to me were I really wanted to make sure that my life here only integrated my highest callings. So my number
Ooh.
one highest calling is helping others, and I do that by creating spaces. So I create spaces that, like my last property was sold as a fully operative Airbnb property. So I knew that I had a checklist basically for this blank canvas, and I knew there were deal breakers for me, like I wanted to live within 10 miles of the ocean, no further. I'm 6 miles. I wanted to live in a community that was thriving and growing and booming, which we are. We have the New York Mets spring training. Our housing growth is through
Hmm.
the roof. And, every house gets still 30, 40 offers on it. So I really achieved my real estate dreams by finding this place. And the way I found it, really, it's more like free falling. I knew what I wanted, but I just knew East Coast of Florida, which, by the way, is, I don't know, 24 hours long. It's a long coast. So
Yeah.
I went from Jacksonville all the way north to all the way south here in Port St. Lucie, where I am looking and looking until this one met every criteria in the book. And there were just little signs everywhere. For example, it said, turn right on Melaleuca. Melaleuca is the company that I buy all my essential products from for the past 5 years. I also educate for this company. So when that sign was there, I was like, that's crazy. And then it told me
Where was the
to
sign?
turn on Victory Lane. And I said, this will be my victory because of all of these little signs and all of the check boxes being clicked off. And then from there, all my dreams started to get crushed. Here's what's happened next. I hire a contractor. He comes in and demolishes all the floors, all the baseboards, puts up all kinds of plastic. We're going to have this job done in 3, 4 weeks. maximum 5. Time is just going by, and this guy isn't doing anything. His body is in bad shape. And he says to me on July 7th, I want to bring another guy over here. I said, oh God, I really don't like people or dealing with people. He said, I think you'll like him. He could help me with these floors. I said, all right, well, invite him over. We'll see. And when he got out of the truck in the driveway, and that was Ryan, first of all, I was like, he's so cute and so my type. So American and dirty blonde and blue eyed, just adorable. And he says, today's my birthday, and it's August 7th, 4 days after I moved in. My house is demolished, and this guy's not working at all. And this guy's a Leo. And I just knew I I had to actually pursue this guy due to his shyness and my intimidation factor. And I probably had to pursue him so hard for like a month until he was like, yeah,
Really?
yeah. And it was, we didn't even have intercourse for probably the first month, which for me is like 3 years. And I I had the patience available for him that I have not had in my life in general. So I just whatever I was feeling towards him was drawing me so strong, and his warmth and kindness and everything about him was just so great, and I just wanted to be with him.
That's such a sweet story. And just to put a fine point on it, he's 15 years younger than
16
you,
years younger.
or
He's 32. He'll be 30. No, he's 33. He was born in 88. So he'll be 34 August 7th. I'll be 50. So
okay,
16.
about
And you know
16.
what?
Yeah. So
Visually, nobody spots anything or says anything, but I've had quite a bit of work done. So I feel very confident. I never feel awkward or like someone's going to ask, is that your mom? Like, I just never have that. Even my last husband was 19 years younger. He was 21 and I was 40. No one ever said a word because I just, picked guys that look like men, and I tend to look like a
right.
girl.
No, so you have experience dating younger men, and so I would say significantly younger. I
We're
mean,
since I'm 35,
19
and
years.
so the past 15 years of my life I've spent with younger men. And here's the kickoff. 2 of them,
Yeah.
which were many years younger than me, are already passed. And people were like, "Why are you with this old lady?" And, I'm still here. And it's really, age is just a number. It comes down to how we choose to live and the choices we make in our life, and those things accumulate.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think we are dealing with unraveling societal programming that says that it's only men who can be, not only is it acceptable to be with a younger
Right.
mate, a younger woman, but that's preferred, and that's what you should do, and for eons it's been that younger women have been attracted to established, confident, sometimes wealthy, many times wealthy older men. And this is our programming. This is our societal programming. And, you know, I mean, I am in a relationship now with somebody who's 13 years younger than me. I have not experienced that in my life. This is the first time that I've experienced that age difference. But I 100% agree with you. Like everything about the relationship that I'm in is just surprising in a delightful way, and you know, it's my only job is to let go of the societal expectations. I get to like let go of all of that, and not worry about what other people are thinking or feeling, because ultimately that doesn't matter. What matters is how you feel inside of your relationship, and if it's mutually satisfying. And so I love that we're both going through this experience, you know, and I love that there are men, amazing men out there who see the value in being with women who know who they are, who are self-sufficient, who, have a zest and a drive for life. And, we know what we want, we know what we don't
Mhm.
want. And I mean, I think that is probably what's so attractive for them about,
All of that
and I
stuff
love
is
that
very,
the
very
more,
true. But I want to talk about the subconscious reason that these guys are picking older women. The real reason.
let's go.
So
Let's
if you
go.
start to look at between the years of 1995, let's say, and 2005, or, let's even say 1990, porn started shifting. The hottest MILF porn when I was dating a 21-year-old and I was 40 was MILF porn. MILF porn has literally created almost a fetish for these guys. Many of these guys only date older women. It's the only thing they're attracted to because they watched it so long and it was so attractive for them. That's what they wanted. So people would ask me, why do you think these younger guys want to be with you? I said, do you want the real reason? And they'd say, yeah. I said, MILF porn. And they went, oh, you're right. I said, I know.
I would say that could be possible in some
Definitely there.
cases.
95% of
I
guys
don't
look
know
at
if
porn
in
at
my
least a
particular
little.
case it's true. Say
I
it
said
again.
95% of boys between the ages of 14 and 21 have looked at porn. And those ages are very impressionable upon your sexual subconscious.
Hmm.
Just saying.
I don't even know what to say about that. I
It's
don't even know
very
what to say
large.
about that.
Now that I
I
put it
think
out there, you'll
I think
you can talk about it with other people. It might not be for your boyfriend. Maybe he never ever looked at porn, but he'd be like in the 3% minority. Most guys have seen porn between the
well,
ages of 14 and 21, and those are super impressionable years.
I think there's also
So
reasons
there's
because
a
I mean, I've
thousand
talked
reasons.
to
We're
my
better in
boyfriend.
bed. We're more open in bed. We know our bodies. We know what we want. We know what we don't want.
How about this? How about this? We don't want
We don't want
kids.
kids. Is a
How
big
about
one. The
I'm
millennials, most of them don't want kids.
Yeah, it's like if they start dating somebody in their 20s or early 30s, those women are like, let's get married,
Yep.
let's have
Yep.
babies. And I'm like, let's not get married and let's not have babies. How about that? And and that's like a relief. And the fact that I'm like, I'm taking care of myself. In fact, not only can I take care of myself, I can take care of you. And let's go enjoy life, and so it's been really, really amazing, but it's been fun to watch you and Ryan and your relationship, and I can see how happy you are. I mean, I can see how happy you both are. And just all of the moments that you guys enjoy. I love being on the sidelines and being able to
And
see
basically, when I use social media, it's like my diary every day that I'm letting everyone read. And it's also my memories because now that
Yeah.
I'm getting older, my memories are few and far between. So I like when those memories pop up on social media and they remind me, a year ago today, you were doing this. And I'm like, isn't it so weird that 3 or 5 years in a row or 15 years in a row, I'm always in the same place at the same time. Like I could be in Italy, but it's again, I'm there the same. It's very interesting to watch your memories pop up and you realize how many things that you tend to do cyclically, cyclically, I don't know.
Cyclically.
You don't really think
Yeah.
about until you see it on paper with the dates, and you're just like, wow, I am just like the moon and the tides. I just have my cycles of things that I want and things that I like.
Mhm. Speaking of cycles and tides, moons and tides, you mentioned perimenopause earlier. Is that okay
Yeah,
if
I
we
love
talk about
to.
that? So I turned 50 in August. I'm also one of your Leo
My favorite.
people in your
Yeah,
life. I turned 50 August 20th last year, and your birthday's in
October
October,
1.
right? And you're turning 50. And my hormones are also changing, as you mentioned. And I was actually kind of excited to finally start having some changes because that meant I got to go to the doctor and start playing around with bioidentical hormones. Have Have you started looking into
I
that at
have
all?
not, but I do have a hormone panel check on June 3rd. So we'll see what happens. And then I'll probably be on the phone with you and maybe chatting. My hope is that
Yeah.
I'm not taking a dive yet. I feel so great. So we'll see. I don't know, but I have had weight gain since I've moved here. So for the next 60 days, I'm doing a total blow up and reset on my own wellness just to get back to where I was.
Well, girl, I have had that experience over the last 18 months. I have gained 10 pounds and I have been the same weight for
I
like
remember
12
that about
years.
you.
Like yeah,
Constant.
you can't get me off my mark. You just can't get me off my mark. Like it doesn't matter if I like work out a bunch or if
Right.
it doesn't matter what it's like I couldn't gain it and I couldn't lose it. I was just there. And then all of a sudden, the beginning of 2021, I mean, over that whole year, that 12 months, I gained 10 pounds. And so then in the last 6 months, I've like tried five different things, five different
And you have all the
strategies
best
to try to,
resources in the world available to you.
oh my God, dude, I can't.
It's
I
different.
can't. And
Here
so
it comes. We hit the wall. It's the wall they've been telling us
we hit
about
the
for
wall.
years. Wait
I
till
hit the
you
wall. And
hit 50.
I know I do believe, well, first, my thyroid did take a dive. That was the first thing. And so I spent about 6 months trying to figure out the thyroid, got that figured out. And girl, I'm telling you, when I started supplementing with thyroid, I thought for sure the weight would just drop off. I'm like, oh yeah,
Right.
this is just, no, that didn't happen. Anyway, my whole body changed at 35 years old and now at 50, it's 100% changing again. And it's just like we get to figure it all out again
Yeah.
and figure out, what our body wants. But the other thing I'll just say about this body changing is 3 years ago, I finally quit smoking. I smoked, my whole entire life. I quit here and there, a couple years here, a couple
Yeah.
years there, but for the most part, I smoked and I quit 3 years ago. And part of this weight gain is literally just I used to smoke instead
Right.
of eat. I mean, you
Yeah,
know,
I'm definitely
so
not putting them down. Like I went weeks and weeks without them, and now that I'm trying to lose weight, I pick them up because if I don't, I will eat more and more.
I
It's
know
easy to
it's
just
so
keep
hard. I
eating.
have
It's
you
like these. That's why I think the hormones are off. We'll see. We'll see.
Hey, listen, I really had good results with being hypnotized. When I got hypnotized 3 summers ago, I never once had a cigarette ever again. Have you ever tried that?
No, I went from 2016 to 2020 and then picked it back up in COVID because my lungs were tested. And she was like, "Are you an Olympic swimmer?" And I said, "No, I smoke THC." So THC blows up the lungs. So I have an incredible lung capacity. I have really healthy lungs. So, I'm far more concerned about my neighbor with the bleach under her cabinet, to be honest.
Right, right. Well, anyway, so is that how is that like? Do you guys have those discussions with Ryan? Like, I mean, he obviously you're such a very
We
open
talk
person
about
about
everything and
everything in your life.
anything. And I poop in the same room. So, once
Oh
you're
my
at that
God,
level, he's like, we don't need to do that. I'm like, it is what it is. You want to come in there and stand there, and here we go.
stop. So, have you guys had these menopause discussions
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah,
like
absolutely.
how?
Because so the first night we invite his mother over, she walks through the door and, she likes to drink. And she cornered me outside pretty quick, I'd say within the first 15, 20 minutes. Are you going to have a baby? Can you have
Oh no.
babies? Like, because Ryan, he's my last that doesn't have a baby. And God, I want him to have a baby. She said, have you discussed
He did
these
not.
things? I know you're in love. I said, absolutely. We've discussed these things from like the very first day. I said, and just so you know, when Ryan and I have intercourse, we don't use any protection and he certainly doesn't pull out. So here's the deal. I said, my body is 50 years old. One of my daughters already told me she's having a vasectomy after they get married and I'm not getting grandchildren from at least one line. So I told Ryan, if my body becomes pregnant and at 16
Oh God.
weeks, a doctor tests it and it's not Downsy or half breed or whatever, I would have that baby. The likelihood of that happening is super unlikely because I basically miscarry Ryan's child like every single month. So my little ovary is like a little bomb factory and it just blows up the babies because I'm sure my eggs are expired, right? At the very least. I mean, I'm 50.
Right.
But the last time I was tested, whatever, 40, whatever, 5 maybe with Michael, they were still there and I was still capable. And I did have a 12-week miscarriage in Italy when I was married to Michael. So my body still becomes pregnant. And I'm open. It's not a wish. It's not a dream. It's just I'm open to that. I'm also very open to it not happening and my period completely going away and stop bothering me. So I just told the universe, if I'm meant to have another baby, then I will have another baby. And if not, I said to Ryan, I said, I'm going to be honest. I said, we can be in a relationship now and you can break up with me later if you want to have a baby. But if that's a burning desire and you know that now, then I want to know that truth because I
Right.
want to make decisions on my own. And I'm not saying my decision would be to break up, but I need to act in a different way than I would if I think
Right.
this is for my lifetime at least. So Ryan is 1,000% okay with not having kids. He loves the freedom we have.
Mm-hmm.
Our dogs, they go to his mother and we travel. We do whatever we want. When I said, can we do that game show? And you said, I don't want to leave my boyfriend. I'm not leaving my boyfriend either. So he's got a passport and he will go with me and the dogs will go to grandma's. We want a full life. And even if we have a baby, we'll still have
Yeah.
that full life because at this point, goddamn well, I'm going to homeschool that kid. Not that I want to or have the patience to do so, but I'll make him do it too. But I don't see that happening. I really don't. And if it's some kind of fluke and I have a healthy baby, then God bless America. I believe when
Right.
we die, that the way we live on is through our DNA because we're literally looking through those eyes. That's me in there. I'm already living Jessica's life as a tattoo artist. I'm living Jenna's life. I'm very clear that when I pass, I may only get to experience life through them moving forward. And I'm like, I like life. So I like to know that as long as those two are alive, I will get to look through life through their eyes in some way because I'm in there
Mm-hmm.
right now. So
Yeah.
I'm totally open to having another one that I can look through their eyes. And I believe that people like
That
me
is
should be having the babies, world leaders. I could make world leaders. When I look at my daughter, the 25-year-old tattoo artist, and she tells me, Mom, I set my own hours. Just like you told me if I want to play video games, I better figure out a job that lets me do it. In between clients, I play video games. She said, when a woman comes in and I don't like her energy, I say, no, thank you. And I refer her out at 25. Like she's so advanced. She learned everything I learned by 45 at 25. So when I look at the evolution of my DNA, I want to see that go further.
That's really cool. That's really cool. But I am surprised that you are open to having another
Okay,
baby.
not
That is
hoping though,
very,
but
very
make me
surprising
be
to me.
clear. I am not hoping for this. Every time it explodes in there, I'm like, woohoo!
No, what do you mean when you say it explodes in there? What are you talking
So
about?
if I'm when you can only get pregnant like 3-4 days out of the month, right? Only in ovulation, truly. So really it's only one day, but you kind of have this 3 or 4 day window where you could definitely get pregnant, right? So that's when they do the ovulation testing, that's what they're doing. Okay. So let's say that you're ovulating. Let's say it's about a week after your period ends. Now he just took his sperm, came in with my egg, and now all of a sudden, 7 days later, I have a bright red spontaneous period. I don't do that. My body doesn't do that unless it's pregnant. So I'm having very, very, very short-lived pregnancies. And I've been doing this
So
since
you're saying
Michael.
that is happening to you every
No,
month?
it seemed, so the problem with Ryan and I is that we have sex every day and sometimes once or twice a day. So it's happening a lot. So I'm definitely getting all that sperm every single time I'm ovulating. I'm getting that connection. So, and I'm very fertile. So I had to have an abortion at 40 because my boyfriend at the time, who I was madly in love with, just forced me to. And I wasn't going to do a baby against someone's will. So I
Right.
love my own DNA babies. I don't love others. And I cannot imagine not completely being madly in love with a baby with Ryan. If it wasn't Ryan, would
Right.
I even be having this conversation? I haven't before, except with Michael. When I love them to that degree, it's
Right.
hard for me to not want to experience, because I know what the experience is
I
like,
know.
especially. And it feels bad to me that Ryan, the man that would be one of the best fathers, just like my daughter's soon to be husband, these two guys would make the best fathers in the world. And it looks like neither one of them will have the opportunity. So I would never get in the way of that. And I would much rather live a life with a baby with Ryan than without. I certainly wouldn't. I certainly would not abort our child. I would not feel comfortable with that. For me, it would almost be like aborting a grandchild. Like at this age, the way I had that desire to have Jenna at 20, Jenna was planned. I was 23 and I planned her. That's the level of my hormones in that moment to want that child. Nigger, the same things happens to you when you turn perimenopause. My desire to have those grandchildren kicked up. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm aching for
Oh,
grandchildren and looking at all of these other people's grandchildren. And
interesting.
I'm not getting this because I really pushed home hard, no early pregnancy.
Hey, Gia, let me just tell you, maybe it's an ache for babies, or maybe it's just
Yeah,
menopause.
exactly. Exactly. I don't think it's going to happen, but if it did and at 16 weeks it was healthy, but I'll tell you what, now at 16 weeks, if it wasn't healthy, I'd have to leave Florida. It's now illegal after 15 weeks.
No, I th- okay, put a pin in that. Put a pin in that 1 second, but I will tell you, this is an issue. This is one of the things of dating a younger man, a man in their 30s. My boyfriend's 37. Is that do they want to have children? And also, as a man at 33, 37, or even 40, do they even know? Do they even have to know? That's the thing about guys, is they don't really have a time
Yeah,
limit on when they can
right.
choose to be a father, right? So at 33 or 37,
Wide
they're
open.
like, you know, and for women, obviously, we have a time frame. There is a time where it's possible, and then there's a time where it becomes not possible. And I mean, so that is definitely one of the discussions that one has to have
I
in a
have it.
relationship like
I
this.
have it
And
in the first week. So for me, I'm very confrontational. I mean, to a degree, I'm just like, here's who I am. Here's what I want. Here's what I will never put up with. And like I put it out there right from the beginning. And I want them to do the same. And I don't want to say I tricked them into it being a safe place where they can tell me anything they want. I don't I don't do my deal breakers really until I really do my thorough research on what they want, because I don't want to influence what they're going to tell me, especially now that I'm older, now that
right,
I've learned that. But with Ryan,
right.
I just saw his family was about kids, and he said, listen, he goes, my brother had a baby at 21. The mother was a drug addict. We had to raise this baby from a baby until he was about 5 or 6. He said, so I feel like I have raised a child. And he really likes our freedom too. So we're either one of us are completely fine with either one happening. That's just where I'm at.
Mhm.
I could change my mind in 5 years and have a
Yeah,
baby, but I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. I'm not doing in vitro. So
yeah,
I think even if I wanted to do it and spend a lot of
uh,
money, it would be extremely difficult, if not impossible. So I just don't think that it'll happen.
yeah,
But if it did happen and it was a healthy pregnancy, that's one more opportunity I get to live. It also gives me an opportunity to heal the things that I didn't do right with my first kids because I was so young. So I'm
yeah.
totally open to being a grandmother or a mother as long as my body will allow it. In fact, if I could go back with the knowledge that I have today, I would have probably had 5 or 6 or maybe more children. Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? If I knew what I knew now and I had a real partner, because it was hard with 2 kids with a single mom, right? But for me, it wasn't hard because I'm like a superstar. So for me, I just showed everybody, look at me, I'm Wonder Woman. This is so easy. What are y'all complaining about? But I think with 5, it would have been a little different. But I think that if I had the right part, if I had met Ryan at 21, I think we'd have 10 babies.
So it seems like the way you're talking about Ryan, like I have not heard you talk about anybody like this. So, I mean, is it truly like you really feel significantly different than you did about
So
Michael and
here's the
about,
main
I
differences
forget.
between everyone else I've ever picked and Ryan. Everyone, including Ryan, I've ever picked are addicts in one way or another. Ryan was the first recovered addict that I dated. He had been recovered from alcoholism before I met him, almost a year. So Ryan had that come to Jesus moment about himself without me. Everybody else had to come to that come to Jesus moment, but it was really a come to Gia moment. They didn't want to lose me, and so they saw the light of the Lord, and they were going to do anything not to
Ah,
lose me. They'd go to Landmark. I can't tell you how many guys I put through Landmark, and I don't mean financially because I
well,
wouldn't.
you're just helping the world. You're just helping
Oh
the
no,
world by
yeah. You
sending
see
people to
that movie
landmarks.
Failure
So,
to Launch with Sarah Jessica Parker? I've done that
yeah,
without getting paid.
yeah.
I've made better men of these guys where I could, but the problem is I was the catalyst. So you look at Michael Howard now, that brilliant composer that could be the next John Williams. And what is he doing? Living in his parents' house and playing video games at least 20 hours a day, my girls say. No matter what time they go on, he's always still on, years after the divorce. Like, I basically propped these guys up and created the image of them that I believed they could be. When I see someone, I see their highest soul calling and their highest soul purpose, which is why I believe I could be a life coach. Here's why I'm not a life coach. Most people, probably 99.7, like the COVID survival rate, those people will never, ever, ever realize their potential. They will never go after it. They don't have the drive. They don't have the gumption. People are weak. They make bad decisions. They're people pleasers. They try to please others. At the end, they kill themselves. You have to really just know what you want in life and go for it, for fuck's sake. And Ryan was already a whole package before he got here. He was already physically
He had
fit.
already done his work.
Yeah, he
Right.
was mentally fit, emotionally fit, physically fit. The only thing he didn't have in his life was really a friend that didn't drink, didn't have any non drinking friends that weren't in a program. He had never dated in his life without alcohol. So this was his first sober relationship. So in the beginning, he told me, listen, I almost feel like a virgin. I haven't dated in 3 years. I haven't had sex in 3 years. I've really just been focused
Or
on,
probably sober
and
sex.
never, he said, I've never had sober sex. And, we were,
I'm telling you, that's the only kind of sex I like
yeah,
is sober sex,
yeah,
by
me
the
too. I
way.
mean, I smoke a little weed, but it's not, like when you get drunk and you're all drunk makes me numb down there. I don't know what people are thinking about getting.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah. So he's a whole person. He's a wonderful person. Everybody in the world that's ever met Ryan is just like, oh my God, like that's like one of the best guys you'll ever meet. And he really is. So, and the way he treats
I'm excited
me
for you.
is as important as who he is. And the fact that, it's now almost June, we started dating at the end of August. He still buys me flowers every week. He still asks me what I need. He still does all the grocery shopping. He pays for almost like more than half at this point, I'd say. And I'm also not used to that.
I know, but here's what's interesting, and I love all of these things, about Ryan and in your relationship. But I also just want to point out that we as women should not be surprised by our partners being partners. The fact that
But we
they're
should. Listen, I've
contributing and
dated
they're taking.
thousands of guys. I've had hundreds of relationships. They're almost never a
But I'm just
partner.
saying, but that's what I'm saying. What does this say about our society that as women, we have to be like, look, he shows up and
Right.
is
I don't have to ask him to
contributing.
do the dishes. I don't have to ask him to clean up after him. I don't have to ask
Oh,
for what I want and what I need. He naturally delivers it because he's a fucking grown up.
right.
And he
Well,
cherishes me. And
good.
he wants me to
I,
know that every day. You are my life. You are my whole life. And I love that. And he is
mm,
mine. We're dedicated. It's great.
I'm so I'm happy for you. I'm excited. All right, let's talk about what you've been up to the last couple of weekends. I One of the things you you moved to Florida and you created this, literally from scratch, from the foundation, created a whole new life, and you filled it up with the things that you wanted to be
Yeah.
about
So
in this
the
next
first thing
chapter
that I wanted
in your life.
was to know people and be heralded like I was in Phoenix. And I really had no idea how I was going to do that as a brand new kid and a brand new everything. So I decided to take the job of marketing director for Harley Davidson. I thought this is going to make me the most popular kid in town. If you talk to anybody right now, I'd say there's a 7 degree of separation between me and them because I took that job at Harley Davidson. I told them, look, at this age, I don't have to be here. You can't afford me. I said, but if you let me do sales and you let me do my own thing, I'll stay because I like to work and I like to contribute to society. And I can triple your sales, which I did. And it was really fun. They didn't have the integrity, but what it did was it brought me to a whole community that I had no idea. And literally every time I'd meet somebody, oh, Ryan, that's your boyfriend? Yeah, I've known Ryan for 20 years. What a great guy. Literally just constant reinforcement about how great Ryan was from the community. For a brand new girl that didn't know anybody in town, the universe brings me everything because I seek it. Because I
Oh yeah.
seek it. It doesn't just bring it, by the way, right? I said I wanted to do theater again. I said I wanted to be back on stage. There's no money in stage work. Even if you're paid, it's $400 a week for the main roles. It's ridiculous. But now that I didn't have to worry about that, I said, well, now that I'm not going to be at Harley Davidson, let me be part of the community and go to a local theater. And I went and I drove by and I saw that I had missed nonsense auditions. And instead of just saying, ah, shucks, and just driving home, I pulled a Gia. And I called them on the line and I got their voicemail and I said, hey, listen, I'm a classically trained theater actress. If anybody fucks up or gets hurt or whatever, I can literally come in and do any role perfect. So if you need me, just call me. And I never heard from anybody. And then a month later, they were like, listen, we really need to cast this eccentric, bright, big personality that's a life coach and trying to teach others how to whip their life into shape. And I was like, you called the right girl. So yeah, we did 2 weeks of performances.
They called
They
you?
called me. They had me audition. And while I was auditioning in my back bedroom on Zoom, Jenna took a picture right here. That's my bedroom door. Well, she took a video. Ryan is sitting on the floor there with his ear pressed to the door the whole time listening to my
So cute.
audition. Like,
So cute.
those are the things, number one, you can't buy. And number two, it tells you what their real heart is. You know what I mean? A lot of guys seem to do things
Absolutely.
to try to
So
placate you, to try to check it off a list. This guy does things to experience the joy of giving and to experience watching my face when I'm finally receiving what I deserve.
you are officially the president of the Ryan Hartman fan club.
Yes. And he is mine.
Okay, so tell me about this theater
I
experience.
will. I just want to say one thing real quick, just because I did this today. And now that we're talking about it, it kind of, people are like, so if I'm single, I am amazing. If I'm in a good relationship, I am amazing. Here's what I am. Me in a relationship with a liar or a breadcrumber, I have anxiety, anger, depression, sadness, rage. Me in a relationship with a trustworthy, kind, grown man, happy, joyful, calm, loving, giving. Be alone or choose wisely. You might think you're crazy, but you really just made a bad choice and then stuck with it. And I'm talking to myself, by the way. Everybody writes me, are you writing this for me? No, girl, I'm writing this for me. Because sooner or later, I'm going to see that pop up and it's going to remind me my own words. We should be our own best guru. The theater. So after,
100%.
so the reason I gave up theater was because there's just no money in it. And I also realized that I liked business and entrepreneurship more than I did doing actual stage theater. And here's why. I'm actually better at business. I'm a good stage actress, okay? But there are greats out there that will make me look very pedestrian. And I don't kid myself. I might be the best this Treasure Coast has ever seen. People were dying. They were like, you should be on Broadway. I'm very good. I am not a master. I am a master of creation. So I do love theater and I want to be in theater, but the whole time I'm doing it, I'm thinking, God, if I had my own theater, I could do X, Y, and Z. So here's what I loved about doing the theater. Number one, that I could still win. For me, the best part of doing theater was winning the star role and always winning and never having to pay my dues and always seeing my name and beating everyone around me. That's why I had no friends. And that was like my favorite thing was winning. And then my next favorite thing is really digging into that character and trying to find the emotional capacity to bring that to life, someone else's words. That's fun and a challenge. It's a fucking challenge. And then the rehearsals are fun because you're creating the whole time. And then opening night is like,
Right.
look at what I've done. 350 lines delivered perfectly. And then after that, I'm like, fuck. We got to do how many more shows of this boring? It's not over. And that's obviously not going to work in the theater. This one had double headers on Saturdays. And I was just like, at 4:00, I was like, we're really doing this again at 8. Whereas when I was in entrepreneurship at my height, I was working 150 hours a week with a smile on my face, barely slept unless I passed out.
Right.
And I look forward to it. I actually started, just because I wanted some cash and some mad money, I started a green cleaning business where I charged like $75 an hour. And I found myself looking forward to going to do that more than going to do another show on the stage. So for me,
Interesting.
I can't deny the fact that I do love work and I love creation. And I also love that instant gratification, like the way a lash artist gets somebody with no lashes and then they put on a full set. Like that's for me. Like when I left this woman's house and she said to me, she said, I can't believe she had seen my show. She's like, you're the most talented, funny, smart woman. But my girl, I've never had my house cleaned like this in my life. Yeah, I can't believe you do this too. I said, well, I've only done it 3 times in my life for someone else now, but I was bored and I don't want to take a job. And I have so many hours on my hands when Ryan's at work. And I was just like, what can I do? And he's like, oh, my dad's going to hire you for $300 to go clean that vacant, that place we just finished. So like I'm having fun because I want to use my physical body. And it reminded me of cycles once again. I'm in Winfield, Kansas. I'm doing summer stock theater. It's professional theater. It's 4 shows in 12 weeks. And the first show I get cast as a lead. And it's me and Jenna Fisher, Pam from The Office. And we both have lead roles. There's a couple other girls. And like she was my best friend. And I did theater that whole summer. When I went to audition for West Side Story, because I really wanted to be Rita Moreno, Anita, they said, you can't have more than one starring role in the summer. I said, oh, I wish you would have told me that at the beginning of the summer then, because I wouldn't have even auditioned for that other show. And I was really angry about it. Why am I telling you this story, though? There is a reason. Oh, the cycle. So
Yeah, the cycle.
we were on stage professionally. It was amazing. And we worked probably 100 hours a week. We were paid room and board and $300 cash a month. The next summer, they said to me, would you like to come do summer stock theater again? We'd love to have you. I said, and this was in 1993. I said, I actually just negotiated a contract with the maintenance company here at the college, and I'm going to be hand mowing the hills that can't be ridden by hand every day for $1,000 a week. So I'm getting $4,000 a month, and I'm not going to be doing any theater. And I was ripped, and I was tan, and I just thought of it while I was actually cleaning someone's house. I said, I just walked away from them casting me in a Neil Simon show because I wanted to go do my other stuff. So I want it all, Joanna. I want to do a starring role with the play I want to do, but do I want to take her role that she wants me to take? No, I don't relate to it. It doesn't feel, it's got to be meaty. It's got to be something, it's just got to be for me. I don't give a fuck about anybody else anymore. Everything now is, am I doing this for me? Am I getting something out of this? Because if not, what I build is a very resentful person with 2 dragons on their shoulders.
Yes. Yes. No, I want to highlight this because this is absolutely the transition that I feel like we all must need to make as human beings is this people pleasing, fitting in a box, fitting in a mold person who's going along with the programming like a robot and following nonsense off ledges and just going with it to a self directed creative life force that's allowing allowing whatever wants to flow through you to flow through you, and having some freaking boundaries, having the ability to use your voice, as you say, to say no. No, no, thank you. That's not for me. That's not for me. No, I'm looking for only what is for me. And if I don't like anything I see, I'm going to blow it up. I'm going to jump timelines. I'm going to go from here to here, and I'm going to create something
And the
completely
real
new.
way that we really help other people is by being that and then
Yes.
showing them that unapologetically, raw, is what it
Yes.
is. You want to know why I'm so happy and
Yes.
why I have everything I want? Because I said fucking no to everything else and I committed and I killed myself to achieve the things I want. I sacrificed. And I did a post about that a few weeks ago to all these, girls in Scottsdale that have $1,800 in hair on and a $2,500 purse. I said, and you want to complain about your landlords raising your rate when you told me not? Why am I living in the ghetto in Phoenix while I made $200,000 in equity and $150,000 in rental income? You make fucking piss poor decisions, and then you want landlords that have sacrificed to get there to lower their rent? The fuck out of here. You're fucking sum of every choice you've made. And I can tell you this very, very clearly. I have a good friend that is 55, 56. He has a nice house, always has beautiful cars. And the women, they're the carbon copy woman of Scottsdale or Phoenix that they're 60 years old. There's thousands of these women out there, Joanna. They're 60 years old. They've never owned a house. Never. And they've had decent jobs. They could have owned houses. They have been waiting for this man to come and create their life since they're 25 years old. And now they're 60 and they're settling for the guy that they didn't want last year because they realize the writing's on the wall. They're fucked. And they don't honestly want to put the work in. Because even I've had people in front of me, I'm like, here's XYZ, and I'll work 80 hours a week to get you there. They're lazy motherfuckers, and they won't give up their Netflix and their fucking spy dramas and everything else they got going on in their life and their $6 Starbucks. We all have the lives and the karma we deserve.
Well, you are an entrepreneur, and you are also letting your creative life force,
Flow.
come through your body. Yeah, flow through your body. And but let's talk a little bit about entrepreneurship. I always say that people want, and no, we've both said this. People want what they don't have, but they're not willing to do the things that they need to do that we're doing, that we're willing to do. It's like you want what we have, but you're not willing to do what we do. Or do what we've
And then
done.
there's two different types of
And
entrepreneurship too. So like there's the entrepreneurship where you want to create a business and you want to work that business. And I was like that my whole life. I think I'm calling myself something different now, more a freedom entrepreneur. So for me, I'm not independently wealthy. I have some residual income. It's not enough to pay all my bills though. So I had to get creative to have freedom entrepreneurship. So my entrepreneurship now is all designed at just making me a free person. So I don't have to work. So I can just do whatever I want on any given day, willy-nilly. So
how does that
for
work?
me, how that
does
works is I refer an essentials company and I teach and educate people how to shop cheaper, safer, fresher online. So I have a residual income line from that. And then I have an Airbnb property that rents for $500 a night. So I can leave for 3 nights, I make $1,500, or I leave for 5 nights and I pay my mortgage and my electric. So, but right now what we've been doing, because we want to stay in the house, is we've just been renting individual rooms for $2,000 a month. So I make about, $6,000 a month doing absolutely nothing, but letting the money that I had create that more money for me. And now that Ryan has seen that, he's a contractor, the one thing we both want to do is build tiny homes and make affordable housing, but also do short-term rentals with tiny homes. And we're so into that right now. And it's really all we want to do. So what we're going to do right now is
Oh my God, I love this
we're going to
idea.
build one here so that eventually I can sell this for a huge profit, walk away with, little less than $500,000, and then take that money to buy land and then build us a nice 2-story tiny home and then 10 tiny homes around it. We just want our freedom together. So that's how we'll build his freedom, is by doing what I've done for myself, and that's how I'll free him. So for me in a relationship, I'm different. I don't want to take everything I've created and give it away or share it. I do and I don't. For me, that over time has built resentment with men. So what's important for me is I say, okay, so let's say I have 200,000 in my house, right? Just my own money that I put in. That 200,000 is something I've created completely without you. Having said that, I'll still be generous, but if we don't start creating something together now that we're together, and all we're doing is draining the resources that I had before you ever came in the picture, it will, for me, with who I am, eventually create a resentment. So what we've done is we've created
Right.
a company together, and we are moving in the direction of starting to build together. And like, we have our vision board over there, and the 1/4 of it is building. We want to build together. So it will also, it's not just about me. When a man is free because of the things he's done versus the things she's done, it gives them that own feeling of vaka, which is a European word.
Yeah.
You're the only person in the history of ever that I did not have to define that word for. And I want him to have that too, because I never want people to ever look at me as a sugar mama. I don't know why, but that's very important to me. Somehow it discredits my beauty. It discredits my
Well,
intelligence. It discredits everything good about me. And I want him to have those same good feelings about himself that I have about mine. And the truth is, he was not shown home ownership through his family. His family's been renting their entire legacy, so he doesn't have those role models. So I'm still mentoring the guy I love. Of course, he's the number one person in my life other than my kids. I want him to have what I have, so that if God forbid, I die in 5 years, he will still be a man of
right.
industry and be able to create a life
Right.
beyond just working for others.
Well, no, and it's, you say that you're a mentor, and you are, but also just at being in partnership, we want to be influencing and inspiring in both
Yes.
directions. Our,
He makes me
you
want to
know,
be a better man.
he makes you want to be a better
Yeah,
woman.
well, it's a line from a movie, so I say the line verbatim, but yeah, you know what I mean. And in a way,
We can say
just so you
person.
know,
We can say
just so you know,
person.
I do relate to myself. I know it's going to sound crazy, as more of a man. Here's why. Each of us have
Well, you just have a
we
lot
have
of you have
we
masculine
have
energy.
that, and in our sign, because we mentioned numerology and astrology, in our charts we all have 12 pieces of pie, right? Do you know that? Like, your
Mhm.
moon's in something else, your Jupiter. Okay, so your sun sign is your Leo. That's your sun sign. But where the moon was, where Jupiter, you have 12 signs. Out of 12 of mine, 10 of mine are male, and 2 of them are female. The way I love, and one other way. I don't remember. Visually. Like, visually, and the way I love is female. Everything else is male brained. And that's okay. I mean, there's a couple of ways where Ryan's charts are female, where mine are masculine. It's a good blend. So I have a very, very, my polarity in femininity and masculinity runs towards the masculine side. I'm definitely more
Mhm.
masculine than I am
Mhm.
feminine.
I have had a lot of masculine
Tendencies.
energy and practice, because I was an entrepreneur for so long and in business, and the tasks that were demanded of me required a masculine energy to emerge. And also because I never had some man taking care of me, or never had to take a mother role where I was taking care of children, and had to have somebody, I've always just taken care of myself. And I've never, and what that meant for me is I never really had a super masculine man in my life, because that
Same,
masculinity that I was espousing was kind of attracting a little more of a feminine
same.
energy into my
Yep.
life. And now I have really done work. I have been doing work these last 3 years on awakening the feminine archetypes in my body and in my brain and in my spirit and in my emotions and all of it. And what that has done is it has attracted an incredibly masculine presence and masculine man in my life, which is like so new for me. And it's like really interesting to kind of soften, like I'm softening into this feminine, and I'm enjoying the practice and the expansion of this expression of myself. It's so cool that we can kind of go in and out and expand and contract in these different polarities,
So
as you
nice to
say.
try different things on.
Definitely, definitely. So the entrepreneurship, the mentorship, the doing something together, the allowing your partner to grow inside of a container that maybe we have a little more experience of setting up that container, but allowing them to flourish and grow and create something for themselves, as opposed to, like you said, being a sugar mama or, you know, taken care of, because it's important that each individual person has their own sense
And
of achievement and
contribution.
their own sense of, yeah, absolutely. So that's great. So let's talk a little bit more about entrepreneurship. You talked about freedom entrepreneurship as opposed to, I'm
Like,
guessing,
think of it
shackled,
like the guy that owns the
shackled.
UPS store, good dear friend of mine. Let's say that he brings home maybe 250 a year for himself. Maybe that's what he brings home, but every day his daily job is about an $8 an hour job that he has to do. And he has to be the one holding his finger on the pulse all the time or the business goes to shit. So I look at his life, and I think he's in his late 60s now, and he's still working the counter at his UPS store. And I think that that's no different than the kid making $20 an hour. They have a different lifestyle, perhaps, but not really. This guy can't go away for 2 weeks. He can't take off for a month. There's no freedom in that entrepreneurship. So, yes, he created a business that profits and he lives off that and lives his lifestyle and goes to work every day and has to do that same thing every day for 35 years. To me, that's not a life. If there was a way to duplicate himself, maybe, but there isn't. Employees are never going to feel about your UPS store the way you do. So he's shackled, absolutely shackled. And I don't think that's freedom at all. And that's not the kind of entrepreneurship I want to lead people into. When people come to me with their giant
And
ideas
so,
now, and do you know somebody that has $50,000 that they want to invest into my new business? I say, no, I don't. I
no,
don't.
no, you don't. No, you don't. And by the way, Gia, you just made me think. You and I, can you imagine you and I hosting our own Shark Tank, where people would come to us and tell us their business idea, and then you and I just basically rip it apart and tell them why it won't work and why it's gonna suck. Like, people come to me with business ideas all the
Mhm.
time, and I just, the first thing I say to them is, "Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to do that? I mean?" And then I just go through the list of like, okay, this risk, this risk, this
I go
risk,
through the
this
price
risk,
items
this
of
risk. I'm
what it
like,
costs marketing wise to get a business up and running and what you really need. And most people don't have it.
it's incredible. So will you put a pin in that idea of the Shark Tank, and maybe that's something we could do in the
Yes.
future? We could do an episode of this podcast called Joe and Gia do evaluate your business idea. We could have people write in and call in.
I'd rather
Seriously,
evaluate their
that'd be
whole
fun.
life because their life is usually such a fucking problem. Gets in the way of everything else.
Well,
Even if you look at the book I wrote,
yeah.
101 Ways to Whatever, my entrepreneurship work, the startup entrepreneur. It's like everything in there is about habits. These people have so many different habits that don't serve them, and they have to start by stopping. They have to make a list of all the things they got to stop first. Their brain's spinning in a
Mm,
billion directions, and they're not focused on anything, and their life is just kind of chaotic.
mhm.
And with that kind of life, it's hard to build anything on top of it because they're the shaky foundation at the base of everything.
And I feel like a lot of times that a personality like that wants to start a business because they just don't like working
Yeah.
for people. Like they can't get along in their work environment. So they feel that that must mean that they're an entrepreneur, that they must need to work for themselves and start their own business. But it's like, just because you can't get along with people doesn't mean you're an entrepreneur.
That's going to be the worst thing for you to be an
Right.
entrepreneur
Right.
because
It's like,
that's all about building relationships.
right. So, before we kind of, so we have a a choice here, what we could do right now. We could kind of have one more kind of piece of this conversation, which is talking about like the theme of the podcast, which is making every day a good day to die. And we could talk about that. And then we could begin another subject of plastic surgery. And I could actually put this into 2 separate episodes.
Okay.
Or we can finish up with this podcast, and if you're not up for another hour, we can schedule a plastic surgery one.
No, I'd rather do it
Okay.
now.
So before we get into that, there's so many things I admire about you, and I also do feel we have a lot in common, which interestingly enough, when we first met, I didn't think we had that much in common. I mean, we were both in completely
Yeah.
different situations, and then life happened and we found ourselves in almost like identical situations. But
Mhm.
one of the things I admire about you is your way of being, where you will just reach out and grab what you want in life, unapologetically. And you have this way of being of truly making sure every day is counting for you. That's what I see. You've not told me that, but what I observe for you is that you are enjoying something about every day. Every day matters. And the theme of this podcast is making every day a good day to die. And I just would, if you could talk a little bit about your philosophy about, how you.
No, that is absolutely my philosophy in life is, even sometimes I'll tell my boyfriend, what would we do tonight if tomorrow we didn't wake up? Like we should be really just living our joy, whatever that is. And for me, some days that's just staying home and cleaning my house for 8 hours. Some days it's laying by the pool. Some days it's doing 10 miles. Some days it's going to the beach, whatever it is. Every day I end the day smiling, happy, and cuddled. And every morning I wake up smiling and happy and cuddled. And I told Ryan that it almost doesn't matter what's going on during the day. Like the way we end our day is so perfect that every day is perfect.
Oh my God. I love how you describe your mornings and your evenings. Say that one more time, those 3 things. Smiling,
Three
happy, and
things:
cuddled.
smiling, happy, and
Oh
cuddled.
my,
I go to sleep like that every night and I wake up like that
isn't
every
that the
morning.
best?
It is.
You
And to have consistency is shocking because, everybody's like this in the beginning.
Right. And you guys are coming up on when is your year?
Well, we were official on October 1st,
On,
so that will be our official, but we started dating at the end of August, so
oh.
just a few months away.
So you became official on your birthday?
Yeah, actually, my ex-boyfriend was here because it was my birthday, and my family was here. The house was full, and my babysitter from when I was little in New York was here, and she sat on the couch next to Ryan, and I was in the kitchen. Billy was standing next to me, and she looks at Ryan, and I had told Billy I was dating Ryan. I was very honest, but he still didn't like it. And she looked at Ryan and said, "So are you Gia's boyfriend?" And he looks at her and goes, and I didn't know what he was going to say because we'd been dating at that point, but I don't know, we were having sex. Yeah, for like 2 weeks, I think we were having sex. And he looked at her and said, "Yeah, I think I am." She kind of claimed me. And yeah, that sent my boyfriend out of the house, my ex boyfriend out of the house, angry that night, left, barely speak. But the way he said it, that I claimed him, I just thought, that's just what I do in life. I claim what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't getting any opposition, so I kept going.
I love it. I love it. And I love you. And just appreciate
I
I
love you
appreciate
too.
who you are in this world. It's so important for me and for anybody who knows you to be exposed to your kind of bravery, and because it allows us to step into ourselves more freely when we see you as an example. And
Hmm.
and I appreciate you so much. And even though I'm so excited for you being in Florida. I do wish you were here so we could hang out sometimes because the four of us would really have some fun. But
Well, my eventual future is that I will be moving back to Rocky Point, Mexico as a base as
oh,
well, which will put me on a West Coast location. We'd like to be able to have a place here and have a place there so that we can kind of go back and forth and have West and East Coast rental properties. So it is my intention to have a place
yeah.
closer to the West Coast soon.
Okay, cool. I'll look forward to that. But in the meantime, we'll focus on our Shark Tank and a
Yes.
recurring role on this podcast because I love talking to you.